Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tashan Tyson, in with your Major News, VON Major News package for today, Monday, March 16, 2020. In all these stories, nationally, SKN government steps up border control amid COVID-19, and suspect taken into custody in relation to shooting incident. Regionally, Privy Council to hear Bermuda government appeal against same-sex marriage. Internationally, coronavirus, U.S. volunteers to test first vaccine. And in sports, CSS beats Keon High in Giant Malt-sponsored high schools cricket championship. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse.
Wrong.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. In response to the rapid international spread of the disease, the federal government of St. Kitts and Nevis has stepped up border controls taking into consideration of the coronavirus. At the St. Kitts Robert L. Bratcher International Airport, all incoming air passengers to the Federation will continue mandatory completion of question number 17 of the Customs Immigration Form, which requires a listing of countries visited during the last 6 weeks. Travel advisories remain in effect for any and all incoming passengers who have traveled to or from any of the following countries within the last 6 weeks prior to arrival in the Federation. Those travelers will continue to be asked to provide travel history of exposure to the virus, and contact information. China, Italy, Iran, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. Additionally, travel advisories have now been issued for the United Kingdom, UK, France, Germany, and Spain. Passengers traveling to or from these destinations within the last 14 days are asked not to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis at this time. In police news, a suspect was taken into police custody in relation to a shooting incident that occurred in the Bastille area on Sunday morning, March 15th. According to a police communique, sometime after 7 a.m., the rider of a motorcycle fired gunshots into the air along the stretch of Keon Street leading up to Queen Victoria roundabout. Members of the crime scene unit visited and processed the area. They collected several items of evidential value. Investigations into the matter are currently ongoing. Persons who might have seen or heard something in relation to this incident or have any other information regarding this matter are asked to contact the Violent Crime Unit by dialing 467-1887 or 467-18888 or 662-3468 or by calling the crime hotline at 707. Premier of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brandley, delivered an address this morning, Monday, March 16th, in light of the outbreak of the coronavirus, COVID-19. Thus far, as of March 16th, the death toll globally stood at 7,130 persons, with 181,728 cases worldwide. The proceedings were carried live here on VON Radio.
I make it clear that Nevis has had no confirmed cases of COVID-19. At this point, therefore, our island and our people remain vigilant but safe. However, given the nature and rapid spread of the virus, I believe that we must all continue to pray for the best while we prepare for the worst. I assure you, my brothers and sisters, that the Nevis Island administration has had an all-inclusive approach thus far to this matter.
Of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brandley. Meanwhile, Celebrity Summit cancelled its call to St. Kitts on Sunday, March 15th. Sea Dream also cancelled its call for Monday, 16th March. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis hereby advises that it has revised its travel advisory in response to the rapid spread of the novel coronavirus. This comes given that A, the World Health Organization (WHO) has declared that the virus has now become a pandemic, and B, several CARICOM member states have now reported cases, all of which have been imported into the region. According to a release from government, with these developments, the government announced the following. Travel advisories remain in effect for persons traveling from China, Italy, Iran, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. Travel advisories have now been issued for the United Kingdom, UK, France, Germany, and Spain. Persons intending to travel from these aforementioned destinations are advised not to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis at this time. In the event that such travelers arrive in our federation, they will be subjected to a mandatory 14-day quarantine period following screening at the port of entry. Such quarantine of passengers means that their movements will be confined to a designated facility. The federal government advises all citizens and legal residents returning from any of the aforementioned countries that they too will be placed on a mandatory 14-day self-quarantine regimen, wherein their movements will be restricted. The federal government reserves the right to screen any individual arriving into the federation, particularly during this WHO-declared pandemic. The Federal Ministry of Health and the government of St. Kitts and Nevis emphasize that to date there are no confirmed cases of COVID-19. Flights by American Airlines into St. Kitts Robert L. Bratcher International Airport will be affected by drastic cutback. This is in response to decreased demand and travel restrictions due to the coronavirus. The Fort Worth, Texas-based airline announced the changes which will affect flights from Miami, New York, and Dallas. American Airlines said the reduction of its international capacity by 75% compared to last year took effect on Monday. The St. Kitts Tourism Authority, in a statement Monday, confirmed provided information on the flights which will be suspended and the period of suspension. They are SKB MIA flights 1466 and 1236 return overnight, April 4th to June 4th, 2020. SKB JFK Wednesday flight 2210, the April 4th, 2020 to June 4th, 2020. Dallas SKB flight May 23rd to August 3rd, 2020. The decision by American Airlines comes following Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC Cruises, and the Norwegian Cruise Line suspending their itineraries to St. Kitts and Nevis in an effort to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Nevis's Junior Minister of Health, Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, has urged the public to brace for the coronavirus COVID-19. The Caribbean, in particular, recorded its first death from the virus last week, Wednesday, with the death of a middle-aged woman who had arrived in Guyana from the United States. In the Caribbean, cases of the virus have also been reported in Jamaica, Cayman Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Barts, Antigua, Guadeloupe, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago.
For us in St. Kitts and Nevis, we must brace ourselves for this eventuality as a matter of urgency. The federal government has activated the National Disaster Mitigation Council, of which 2 officers from Nevis are members. Concurrent to that, the Nevis Island Administration, through the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders, has activated its COVID-19 preparedness and response plan. The ministry has adopted and initiated a series of actions to reduce the risk of entry of the disease and its containment. These include travel advisories, and as the situation evolves, these advisories will be adjusted.
But what else is Nevis doing in light of the virus? Minister Brandy Williams explains.
Heightened port health surveillance and border control, interagency collaboration with NASPA, Customs and Immigration, screening of all incoming passengers at the Vance W. Amory International Airport by a port-assigned nurse, and increase risk awareness via radio, print, TV, and social media platforms. A symposium on COVID-19 was conducted on Wednesday, March 11th to sensitize the general public. Continuous sensitization and training for health workers in infection prevention, control, and management of patients. We have invested in the procurement of essential medical supplies and equipment, such as ventilators and personal protective equipment.
The Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams. In the midst of the coronavirus being declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, WHO, at the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP press conference on Thursday, SKNLP's candidate for constituency number 8 in St. Kitts, Dr. Terence Drew, made another plea to the Team Unity-led government to seek the assistance from the government of Cuba. Dr. Drew pointed out that based on the guidance from the WHO, St. Kitts and Nevis is of a very high risk and that a significant number of SKN's population is vulnerable. He was quoted as saying, "Those are hypertensives, diabetics, those with underlying health conditions. I have been calling on the government to call the Cuban ambassador and ask for help in setting up a plan to specifically deal with those persons who would become infected," said Dr. Drew. As of Saturday, March 4th, as of today, 7,130 persons have died from the virus and 181,728 cases were recorded around the world. And finally, according to the Dean of the Adult and Continuing Education ACE Division, Wanda Hughes, persons with an associate's degree from the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, CFBC, and desire to further their studies at the University of the West Indies, UWI, have an opportunity to do so at the CFBC by entering the UWI Level 1 program at a much lower rate than at a UWI campus. The Dean noted that the UWI Level 1 program is a program that has existed at CFBC since 1998. According to a release from the government, it allows students with an associate's degree, that's the entry requirement, to come to CFBC and actually do the first UWI year, that is, 10 classes, 30 credits at a much lower price than they would pay if they were to go on campus or even to open campus. Ms. Hughes stated that most students subscribe to the business course including accounting, management, and economics. Other courses include sociology, French and Spanish, linguistics, history, information technology, mathematics, and mathematics. The UWI application period is now open, she said, and that persons can apply online at any of the UWI's websites. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions that make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Gold Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our Be Online internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back on all the regional news in detail. The Bermuda government's appeal against same-sex marriage in the British Overseas Territory is to be held by the Privy Council in London later in the year. According to a group dubbed Out Bermuda, the case will go before the island's highest court of appeal on December 7th and 8th. This is the latest twist in a roller coaster saga that at one stage saw Bermuda become the first country in the world to approve same-sex marriage and then take away the right, but a series of court decisions means that gay couples can currently get married there, according to nationnews.com. Out Bermuda has said it expects the government to lose and for the final bill for Bermuda's taxpayers to be about US $3 million. In May 2017, Bermuda Supreme Court ruled that gay couples could marry there, but 6 months later, the Progressive Labour Party government, which ousted One Bermuda Alliance in the July general elections that year, passed the Domestic Partnership Act outlawing same-sex weddings. A challenge was brought against the act by Bermudian Rod Ferguson, with Out Bermuda joining the legal action. Legal sources said the Privy Council's decision could also set a precedent for same-sex marriage across the UK's Crown dependencies and overseas territories, as well as a host of former territories. Representatives from regional ministries of education have begun discussions on the administration of the examinations and the respective national protocols with the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. In a media release, CXC said it is taking note of the developments concerning COVID-19 in general and its impact on the Caribbean community region in particular. The Council presented and discussed various scenarios as it relates to the administration of its examinations. The Council will continue to work with the governments of the various territories to arrive at a regional consensus and will update the public accordingly, the statement said. Meanwhile, the Caribbean Community CARICOM nations of Suriname and the Dutch Caribbean islands of Aruba and Curacao have been added to the list of countries that have confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus COVID-19. Suriname's borders and airports were closed to all traffic from Friday night as a result of the virus confirmation there. After Curacao recorded its first case, all flights from Europe were banned until further notice. It was a 68-year-old tourist who arrived in the island last Thursday. Out of Barbados. Stop the panic buying, says the country's Prime Minister Mia Mottley, while conceding that it is not if but when COVID-19 strikes Barbados. Mottley said there were supplies on the island for up to 3 months and the government was working on a survival package. According to nationnews.com, she condemned the buyers in a video circulating on Thursday, wildly grabbing items in a store, and appealed to members of the media to help educate the public about the human-to-human transmission of the disease. Once people start to feel that it is airborne, panic breaks out and you get the kind of foolish thing that happened last Thursday in the stores. There is no need for it, and in most instances, we have 2 to 3 months supplies on island for almost everything, she said. Meanwhile, Liat, the Caribbean's airline, will be taking all precautions to ensure the safety of crew and passengers as the region continues to put plans in place for the COVID-19. Liat said in addition to the usual health and safety measures, they will be implementing travel restrictions based on advisories from governments across the region. Other measures include ensuring that aircraft are clean in compliance with global cleaning standards at both overnight and transit stops, promoting hand washing and healthy hygiene among employees and passengers, and ensuring the alcohol-based sanitizers wipes are available for passenger use, taking measures that follow the recommendations of regional and global health authorities, and activating a special project team to monitor this situation in real time. Meanwhile, in the Cayman Islands, the man being treated at Health City and confirmed as Cayman's first recorded COVID-19 positive patient has died. He passed away at the age of 68 years at 4:40 a.m. on a Saturday, according to the Cayman Compass. And finally, the University of the Virgin Islands, UVI, said late Thursday that in light of the evolving coronavirus pandemic in the United States and globally, out of an abundance of caution and care for the UVI community members, some of whom the university said may be in high-risk groups, The university said it will extend the spring break for students until Sunday, March 22nd. According to VIConsortium.com, UVI will also transition to online learning for all graduate and undergraduate classes beginning Monday, March 23rd. And that's it for the regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back. Another international news in detail. The first human trial of a vaccine to protect against pandemic coronavirus is starting in the U.S. later on Monday. According to reports, a group of 45 healthy volunteers will have the jab at the Kaiser Permanente Research Facility in Seattle. The vaccine cannot cause COVID-19, but contains a harmless genetic code copied from the virus that causes the disease. Experts say it will still take many months to know if this vaccine or others also in research will work. Scientists around the world are fast-tracking research. UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has outlined the next steps in the UK's plan to fight coronavirus at the first of a series of daily news conferences. He said an entire household will be asked to isolate itself, even if only one person had a high fever or a permanent cough.
First, we need to ask you to ensure that if you or anyone in your household has one of those two symptoms, then you should stay at home for 14 days. That means that if possible, you should not go out even to buy food or essentials other than for exercise, and in that case, at a safe distance from others.
A French priest has been jailed for 5 years for sexually abusing dozens of children in the 1970s, 1980s and early 1990s. Bernard Prenat, 74, admitted abusing Boy Scouts while a Scout leader in Lyon. During his trial, he had told the court he had not understood how serious or grave his crimes were. It took me time to learn it was wrong and condemned given the age of the children, he said in January. Prenat assaulted at least 80 young boys between the ages of 7 and 15. 10 of his victims testified at a 4-day trial. The abuse took place between 1971 and 1991. 9 months after 20 Democratic candidates gathered for the first debate of the 2020 primary season, it has come down to 2 candidates, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Given the circumstances, one might expect a serious mood with respectful disagreements. Instead, it was an at times feisty affair, with Sanders going on the attack in a way he never did 4 years ago in his unsuccessful presidential campaign against Hillary Clinton. If the Bernie revolution is on the ropes, the candidate, who just a few weeks ago was considered the frontrunner, is not going to go down without a fight. Biden also made news by promising to choose a woman as his vice presidential running mate if he were to win the Democratic nomination. Sanders wouldn't make such a commitment, although he did say his very strong tendency would be to move in that direction. And finally, European countries have introduced new restrictions, including border closures and limitations on movement, as the continent grapples with how best to control the new coronavirus pandemic. The Prime Minister of Italy, Giuseppe Conte, has warned it's entering its riskiest weeks. More from the BBC's Mark Lowen.
Italy is locked in a seemingly endless spiral of soaring coronavirus cases and a crippling economic impact. With a nationwide shutdown and the grounding of flights to Italy by almost all airlines, Giuseppe Conte acknowledged that some business owners feared they'd never be able to reopen, signalling the need for a reconstruction plan to reformulate the rules of trade and the free market. Italy's hospitals in the north are stretched to the limit, with some using tents and emergency structures for intensive care. The government has asked Italy's only manufacturer of ventilators to quadruple production, even sending in trained technicians from the armed forces to help.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Farmers out and stunting. Check TDC, lawn and gardening. In the month of March, you get the best deals for anything to do farming. 20% off. In a March, greenhouse, topsoil, bower mulch and rakes. Just calculate the total. We have pumpkin seeds, so you could plant low. Fertilizer for your plants, them. We can eat healthy again. In a TDC, you can get anything you need and only a little money spent. So no time bad, man farming. Man farming.
TDC Home and Building Depot supports our farmers. Visit the TDC Lawn and Gardening Agro Department for 20% savings for the entire month of March in St. Kitts and Nevis. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back on Another Sports in Detail, local sports. In a Ghanaian series of matches in the 2020 Giant Mouth sponsored High Schools Cricket Championship, Charleston Secondary School CSS went up against the Keon High School on Friday, March 13th at the E.T. Willett Park. The CSS team won the toss and immediately elected to bat first. Summarize scores: CSS 328 runs for 8 in 35 overs. Justin Amadan 95 runs, Colin Bowen Tuckett 71 runs, Jaden Carmichael 30 runs. Ronald Williams 3 for 58, Kazim Archibald 2 for 39. Keon High 136 all out in 29.2 overs. CSS won by 192 runs. In more local sports, the Naomi's Preschool had its annual sports meet on Wednesday, March 11th on the grounds of the St. Thomas's Primary School. It was held under the patronage of Miss Carla Daniel. At the end of the day, final point standings were Blue House 395 points and Red House 278 points. In athletics, the Carifta Games will not be held next month in Bermuda as scheduled, with organizers concerned about the threat of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 that has reached several Caribbean countries. At a press conference held on Friday morning with Sports Minister Lovita Fogo, the chairperson of the local organizing committee, Donna Rayner, said the event, which was to be held from April 10th to 13th, is off until possibly later this year. The decision follows additional cases of COVID-19 being recorded in the region. Rayner added that once it seems all clear, a new date for the Games will be worked out in conjunction with the other Caribbean countries. In athletics, Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said the Tokyo Olympic Games will go ahead as planned in July, despite coronavirus concerns resulting in a postponement of sporting events. Abe added the International Olympic Committee IOC would have the final decision whether Tokyo 2020 goes ahead. We will overcome the spread of the infection and the host Olympics without problems as planned, Abe said. And finally, in athletics, two-time Olympic 800-meter champion Caster Semenya says she is supernatural as she confidently targets the 200 meters at Tokyo 2020. The 29-year-old cannot compete in events between 400 meters and a mile without taking testosterone-reducing drugs after a World Athletics ruling change. South African Semenya ran 200 meters in 23.49 seconds, 0.69 seconds outside the Olympic qualifying time at an event in Pretoria on Friday. I call myself supernatural, she said. The three-time world 800-meter champion, who spoke of her decision to switch to the 200-meter in an Instagram post on Friday, must bring her time down to 22.8 seconds before June 29th to qualify for the South African Olympic team. And that's it for sports. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back, and now to look over the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be partly cloudy with a 50% or moderate chance of showers. Weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy with a 50% or moderate chance of showers. Winds are light and variable. becoming southeast at less than 19 kilometers per hour or less than 10 knots. Seas at 1.5 meters or 5 feet. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:17 a.m. And that's a wrap up the major news package for today, Monday, March 16, 2020. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, SKN government steps up border control amid COVID-19 and suspect taken into custody in relation to shooting incident. Regionally, Privy Council to hear Bermuda government's appeal against same-sex marriage. Internationally, coronavirus, U.S. volunteers to test first vaccine. And in sports, CSS beats Keon High in Giant Mart, sponsored high schools cricket championship. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a pleasant evening.